everybody, Rochelle here. I wanted to show you how to take cuttings and start new plants. So you can take stem cuttings and start new plants, and today I'm actually going to show you how to do this on a Verbena. I went to get red and purple Verbena and they did not actually have any red Verbena in the pots. I was just going to get like a couple pots maybe. The only red Verbena they had was a hanging basket. So I'm going to show you how to take the cutting, cut it off, put it in the thing, and I use root powder. But here is what I ended up with, a hanging basket, which was actually awesome because this was on clearance for $5 because we had a frost and actually a freeze the other night. So this greenhouse has a little bit, not too bad, of damage on it, but it's no big deal. So there's actually 4 Verbena plants in here. So we're gonna take off these long parts and start some new plants. So first of all, get you a good pair of kitchen shears. You want a good sharp cut. And you can see here, this is a trailing Verbena, which is what I like. And we're going to cut off some of the new growth. So you'll go ahead and cut off any and all blooms, okay? You don't want any blooms. You want the plant to actually put its growth into making roots, okay? So kind of trimming off a little bit of the flowers here. And then I'm going to take one of these and cut it back. And what you want to do is cut it right above a nodule, okay, where a pair of leaves comes out. And then you're going to either pinch or cut off the leaves. Okay, you're going to cut them all off because where the leaves are at is where it's going to form the new roots. Don't cut the stem of the plant though, be careful. And all you're going to do is make sure that, see that little bloom there? It's going to form. I'm going to snip that right off. I don't want him. And just leave just a few leaves. That's it. Then what we'll do is we'll do that a few more times, taking care of which ones we want to clip, and then I'll show you how to root them. I can get a ton of new Verbena plants. Now you won't ever have 100% success, so make sure you take more cuttings than what you actually need. And it doesn't matter here on this plant where it's a little bit damaged from the frost on the leaves, because we're going to take that right off anyways. So here, I have a handful. And again, we're just going to take that and take off any of these side shoots and leaves. And be sure to take that bloom out. And you can see where I took this bloom out. It's actually got that little shoot. We'll cut that right out of there, okay? Like this one, just go ahead and pluck off all that extra leaves, because where those leaves came out, those little nodules, that's actually where it's going to form the new roots of the plant. All right, the next thing you need is be sure you have some rooting powder. You can do this without rooting powder, but I'm going to tell you you're not going to have as much success, okay? You're going to have a much lower success rate. So if you have some rooting powder, here I've got Garden Safe Take Root. There's lots of different brands. This will run you anywhere from $6 to $8 for like a 2-ounce container. And it lasts a long, long time. So you can take a lot of cuttings and start a lot of new plants with that one bottle. So here we go. Make sure you keep these nice and clean. Now, I'm going to take this little recycled pot here, put you in some nice moist soil, okay? You want to moisten, make sure the soil is good and moist, because this is going to take a while to get these new roots on this plant. You can take your spray bottle and spray in there, making sure it's good and moist. Okay, and then what we're going to do is open our root powder. You're going to take some water. Be sure, here's some water here. And we're going to take that cutting, dip it down in the water, and then dip it down in the rooting powder, okay? And then knock off. So we dipped it down in the rooting powder. Go ahead and knock off that excess rooting powder. And then you want to use a dipple or a pin, whatever you have to make a hole in your pot. You want to just go around the sides. You really don't want to use the center of your pot. So I'm going to take this ink pen and I'm going to just make some little holes right along the edge of this pot. Okay? After we've knocked off that rooting powder, the reason why you want to make a hole is so that when you push this in, that the plant doesn't knock off the dirt doesn't knock off the rooting powder off your new start. Okay? And then you can just go ahead and push that soil right back up. Now I've seen that these are about 4 inches long, and my pot doesn't look quite deep enough, so I'm going to hurry up here and I'm just going to grab another deeper pot because that was not a good choice. Okay. Let's fill this one with moist soil. Okay. So we'll use this one, and again, all I'm doing, pack the soil down lightly and use your dipple or whatever you're using to make holes so that the rooting powder doesn't, I'll just make 4 here in the 4 corners, so that the rooting powder doesn't get knocked off as you put. So again, take your stem, dip it in the water, dip it in the rooting powder, then tap it off. Okay, tap the excess off. And then we're just going to insert it into that soil, and then take your finger there and just push the soil up around. If you want, you most certainly can cut your shoots off a little bit shorter, but you want them, the more nodules there are on the stem, that's where the roots form, so that's more of a chance that you're going to get roots the more of those you have. But ideally maybe about 4 inches long on your stems. So some of mine are a little bit, I'm going to cut them off. But each time you're just dipping in that water, dipping in the rooting powder, and then going ahead and knocking that off. And sticking it right down in the hole you created, pushing the soil up and around. We'll get one more so that we'll have 4 in this, and then I'll show you how we're going to cover it. Okay, so we have 4 in there. That's good enough. I don't really like to use the center. You can if you're desperate on, room or whatever have you. So now what I'll do is here, go ahead and moisten everything up really well. Once it's moistened super good, you can go ahead, this improves your chances of getting a new plant. Go ahead and take, here I've got a recycled bag that I had some little snackies in, and I'm going to make a greenhouse effect by just going in there. Whoops, I'm going to have to get a bigger bag, it looks like. Going in there and putting that on there, it keeps the moisture within this. And then about once a week, just check and be sure that your plants or your soil is good and moist. You can go ahead and label it here with what it is and the date. So I hope that was helpful in you starting some new Verbena plants. It will take a while. So we'll probably check those in about 3 or 4 weeks and see if they've got roots on them, and then I can take them out and individually pot them once the roots start. All right, I hope that was helpful. You all have a blessed day.